This podcast is certified fresh. Freshmediaworks.com.
Looking to boost your company's marketing? Look no further than Fresh MediaWorks. Podcasting is the best way to promote your brand and increase your customer base. You can create your own show, be a guest on other podcasts, or advertise on existing podcasts to reach a valuable audience. Don't wait. Start elevating your marketing game today with Fresh MediaWorks. Call now, 713-269-4620, or find us online at freshmediaworks.com/podcasting.
Welcome back to another episode of the Master Coaches Wednesday Weekly Buzz. I'm Bob Bertucci, joined here with fellow Master Coaches Mick Haley, Tom Hilbert, and Jim Stone. Before we dive into our the discussion today, let's update everyone on the NCAA men's standings. For Division I and Division II, our top 5 teams right now in this order are Long Beach State, Grand Canyon, Hawaii, UCLA, and UC Irvine. The one thing really that stands out to me in our standings is the top 3 teams are doing extremely well, with the only undefeated team being Grand Canyon. Now in Division III, we have Wentworth, Stevens Institute of Technology, Southern Virginia, the new one in the top 5, Springfield College, a perennial, top 3-4 team in the country, if not national champion, and Cal Lutheran. So now we've caught up with a little bit of the men's game. Tom, you have something you'd like to share with our audience. Why don't you tell them a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to run to Las Vegas for the opening match of the Las Vegas Thrill, catch up with my friend Ruben Herrera. And, I was impressed by what they're doing there in Las Vegas. Actually, it's Henderson. And, their game management and their game day experience for fans is outstanding. And they're selling a lot of tickets. So we've got a little clip of it. Hey, it's Tom Hilbert here, and I'm in Henderson, Nevada for the opening match of the Las Vegas Thrill PVF volleyball team as they take on the Omaha Supernovas here at the Dollar Loan Center Arena in Henderson, Nevada.
I'm here with Ruben Herrera at the opening night for the Las Vegas Thrill. Ruben, how many tickets have you guys sold in advance? 5,000. 5,000 tickets. It looks like Henderson is really embracing this team, man. This facility is awesome. How do you feel about how you've been treated here? Fantastic. Media's been wonderful. The people here at the venue, they're professionals. They know how to put on an event. We're the 4th pro team that's in this arena, so they've treated us great, and it's going to be a professional atmosphere tonight for sure. That's awesome. Well, good luck tonight, Ruben.
Yeah, and there's going to be, if you get on the website after this show, you can see a little bit more of that video and a little bit more of their game atmosphere, but they've really done a nice job there in Henderson.
And I think we're actually putting it up on the YouTube channel, or the Master Coaches YouTube channel in its entirety. And Tom, you said that the environment was electric.
Yeah, it was, without a doubt. And they had a real mix of fans there. Some of them were young club kids. Some of them were, a lot of them were just adults that are volleyball fans in the area. I did find it interesting that they actually singled out and showed video of one of the top club players in Las Vegas. So, it's one of these deals where we're going to start seeing NIL stuff for 17-year-olds, I think. But and she got a round of applause. But it they did a nice job in that arena with all of the, music and lights and everything that they do. I thought it was really exciting and really enjoyable experience.
Hey, Tom,
Well,
if I could ask, how was the quality of play?
I thought the quality of play was good. I feel like there are athletes in the college game that are as good as what I was seeing there. The big difference that you see when you watch them is those players make difficult plays look easy. They see the game a little bit better. When you see like Saskia Hippie and some of these 30-year-olds out there playing, they know where to go and what to do in certain situations. But I think, if you put one of the top 5-10 college teams up against these teams, they're going to physically match up. But these people are playing the game pretty well.
Well, thanks, Tom. Mick, would you like to do the honors and introduce our special guests for today?
Sure. That would be a lot of fun, Bob. Thank you. This is a pretty interesting thing that we ran into by accident. I was doing the TV for the Collegiate Challenge in Austin, Texas, the men's challenge with 6 really good volleyball matches, and got introduced to the founder of a business called TAP, TAP, and I'll let them tell you what that stands for. We went back and forth and got to meet Travis Richmond, who is the founder, and he's introduced us to Eric Duncan, who's the CEO for TAP. And fellas, I want to welcome you to the show, and I want to turn it over to you so you can tell us a little bit about TAP.
All right, Mick, thank you very much. Gentlemen, thanks for having us. That was great to meet Mick in Austin. Friend of mine and advisor to the company, Mike Garcia with Austin Junior Volleyball, put us together. And we're really excited to be on your show and talk to your audience about TAP. TAP is the acronym for our company, Tip a Player. You can visit our website, tipaplayer.com. It's live right now. If anybody wants to check it out while we're on the show, I encourage you to do so. As you guys mentioned, we're entering the NIL space with a goal to democratize NIL. We're now into year 3 of NIL existing, which, as you guys know, allows Division I athletes to earn compensation, basically in exchange for endorsements. And that's a great idea to help some athletes earn compensation, because we all know how much time they put into their sport, whether it's volleyball, gymnastics, of course, football, basketball, the big sports you've heard about. But all these Division I athletes, over 200,000 Division I athletes, we believe should be able to earn from NIL. And the truth is, a few years in, most of them are not. Your elite players at major Power 5 schools and the sports that might be on TV more than others, they might be doing okay, but a lot are not. So let me tell you about Tip a Player. You go to our website, you can search for any player on any team at any school. Each player has a page, very much like Amazon searching for a product. You can search for the player or team you're looking for, and you can make a donation in their name. Now, this is a little bit different than how NIL is working right now, because right now, if you wanted to give your favorite player some money, you have to sign them to a contract to perform an NIL activity. I know Bill Carter was on this show a few weeks ago and talked about earning compensation for an NIL activity. But the truth is, right now, it's a very inefficient market for both the players and the donors. You have to find each other. You have to negotiate a contract. You have to execute the contract. You have to agree upon the money. What are we going to do? And it's just not reaching most people. So with Tip a Player, you can go to our website and make a donation in the name of your favorite player or team. The company receives that donation. We then will reach out to these players and let them know we would like to pay them money. Of course, for legal compliance reasons, I know we'll get into that in a minute, they've got to do something to get something. And we have come up with a contract that the players can execute immediately on their phones while looking at the page that says, I agree to endorse your company. And in exchange for endorsing the company, we can compensate them. Once a month, they endorse us. Once a month, we compensate them. And that's it. That's very simple and very efficient for the players. So now NIL is really designed to help players monetize their own brands, but they don't really have the tools to do so. They don't really have a reason to create content on social media for their fans to view, but there's no way to actually compensate them. We look at Division I athletes as content creators who are not allowed to say, my Venmo is at the bottom of the video. However, you can now say, my TAP account is linked in this video, or my TAP account is on my social media pages. Visit my page. If you appreciate me, you can support me financially. And that's a new idea, because others in this space are still linking the actual companies with the players. By being an intermediary, in essence, gentlemen, we're a payment processor. Just like any other company, the payment processor will pay the players to endorse the company. And now we can go raise money in their name and compensate them in a way that makes sense for them.
Tom, how do you react to that?
Well, it's interesting and it's relatively innovative. Can you? I'm assuming you're saying this is breaking down barriers, right? This is ways that athletes can have more access to the NIL space. Would that be accurate?
Absolutely. And as coaches, you guys understand this. We had an interesting conversation with a basketball coach at a Power 5 conference. And she said, I'm kind of a different era. I'm used to keeping my players after practice and running them harder if we're having a poor practice. But yet in this era of NIL, I might be confronted with my star player saying, Coach, I got to get to my photo shoot. And this is what I'm talking about with barriers. If you want to help these young athletes earn money through compensation for endorsements, they've got to do more endorsements. And that's really taking away their time, which is already very valuable, from either the classroom, the locker room, study hall, working out, actual practice, the things that they are there to do. So all these distractions allow them to make more money, but it takes away from their time. That's the barrier that exists for a lot of athletes who, of course, want to earn as much as they can, yet we think the requirements would be better for the players if it was less time and more compensation. That's the barrier on the player side. The other barrier we're breaking down is there are lots of college fans all over the country. Many of them watch this show who are passionate about volleyball. They really have no way to engage in NIL right now. You can't hand a player a $20 bill for making a great kill. It would make them ineligible. But through our platform, if you were watching a game or you found someone's social media that showed a great practice or coming back from an injury, any reason you want, you can now make a donation in their name, knowing that that money will go to the player.
And
Go ahead, Tom.
I was just going to ask, and we may be talking about this in another point in the interview, but in that distribution, how do you break it up?
It's a great question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Go ahead, Eric. Why don't you take that one?
Sure, I will. So the distribution we have, we want to stress that every dollar you give to an athlete or a team through TAP goes to the athlete or the team. We've got it broken down this way. If you give $10, which is our minimum donation on the website, you give $10 to an athlete, $9, 90%, goes to the athlete themselves. The dollar goes into a pot that gets split up amongst their teammates who have signed contracts with TAP. So everyone on the team who signed a contract with us can benefit every time one of the athletes on the team gets tipped. And we make money as a business by charging the fan a checkout fee. So we have to pay our bills, right? We have to support our business. So it's 15%. So if you give $10 to TAP to an athlete, we charge you $11.50 on checkout. The $1.50 goes to us. Everything else makes sure to go to the athlete and their teammates.
Oh, Jim?
Yeah, I'll jump in here, Bob. Thanks. Well, Travis and Eric, I'm really glad you're here today because obviously this is a new and controversial terrain that we're entering. I have kind of a two-headed question here. I'm making the assumption that everything you're doing is legal with the NC2A, but other than the one time a month endorsement commitment that the athlete makes, are there any other NC2A parameters or compliance parameters that you have to be aware of as you move forward with this project? And that's question number one. And Eric just fostered another question as he was talking. If if a team is dividing up a donation, does every member of the team have to sign a contract and then they're committed to the one time per month endorsement? So if we could address those two things, and maybe Eric, I'll start with you, and then Travis, you can jump in at any time.
So as far as compliance parameters, so we've been really fortunate enough to have many conversations with many different compliance offices, all of them great conversations. And we have been approved, our contract has been approved by multiple compliance offices. We had our contract created by one of the leading NIL attorneys in the country, and we've had it reviewed by multiple compliance offices. The most important piece is that I've been asked about is that there is an activity and a compensation, and there's a one-to-one at least, and that we can then show any school that asks us that, yes, there was an activity and then there was a payment. And our goal is to be and beyond that, there's really no other NCAA or NIL compliance issue that needs to be dealt with. Our goal really, though, is to be as transparent and helpful, and with every compliance department we want to work with, because if they come to us and ask for records, for anything like that, we want to be able to provide that to them. And the way our business is structured, we are able to do that as quickly as they need it.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we look at both schools and collectives as our partners in this space. All of us are working together for what I believe is a very admirable goal, which is to help provide compensation in a legal, transparent way to the athletes themselves. And to do that, we need to make sure people understand how our business works. We really appreciate this audience to share it with the folks who watch. I know you guys as coaches, your job is to help athletes grow and deliver results on the court. But now there's this additional requirement that athletic officials all over the country are facing. How are we going to help our athletes earn NIL money? Where are we going to get it? And people are going to the traditional sources, which is the donors, and people are having some donor fatigue. You see this across the country. You see schools starting collectives, but who is going to fund them? And what we believe we have done is make it simpler, fairer, above board, and very easy to understand. And of course, we are following the letter of the law, which is the required quid pro quo. Athletes cannot get the money for nothing, and they cannot get paid to play for the school. Beyond that, they can endorse products, and that's what we are going to ask them to do. We've got a standard contract for every athlete. It's non-exclusive. They can do all of the other NIL activities they'd like to do, including contracts with their school's collective. But we believe this is a very innovative idea that will allow the fans who love these programs and these players to also put their money where their mouth is.
So Eric, I'm sure you answered Jim's question, but I must have missed it.
Sure.
So those other players on the team that might get some portion of that percentage, that 10%, do all of them have to do something, or is it just the one player?
So every player on a team, so let's say you have 20 players on a team, and that month, 5 individual players have been given money, and then there's a pool of money that would go to the team. In order to receive the money from the pool, they do have to sign our contract and fulfill our requirement. It's the exact same for every single athlete. The split really is, for a couple of different reasons. It's incentive, obviously, from our part as a business, we want to incentivize more athletes to sign up. And it's also helpful, right? One of the conversations Travis has told me he's had multiple times is, hey, it's really easy to get the starting quarterback money. It's not so easy to get the backup guard NIL money. Well, in this case, the backup guard can benefit if the star quarterback, every time the star quarterback gets tipped, all he has to do is sign a contract with us and fulfill the endorsement requirement. So it's really pretty simple. Everyone who signs a contract is going to get paid as long as someone on the team is getting money given to them through our platform.
Okay, and the question that I have, and you may have already answered it, is if 90% goes to the one athlete that they're actually tipping, mm-hmm. and 10% goes to the other athletes on the team that have signed contracts with TAP, mm-hmm. and you guys are getting your percentage for processing the whole thing, mm-hmm. is there any money that goes to the universities?
No, there's no money that goes to the universities. And as far as I know, there is no NIL structure whereby money goes to the universities themselves. Our partnerships with universities are strictly around making sure we tuck in the compliance departments, make sure they're happy with our contracts, they approve them. And beyond that, no, there's no money from our company that would go towards a university itself.
So just to be clear, Eric,
Mm-hmm.
the 10% split up over X number of players, each one of those players has to give an endorsement each time they get money.
Correct. Once a month, they provide an endorsement of our company. We will pay them. And it's really just the same for every single athlete who is owed money through TAP.
Okay. And so, it's so sketchy out there. First of all, NIL is not supposed to be used for recruiting.
Correct.
That's the first thing. Okay. And then we have collectives that their money is being used for recruiting, whether we like it or not. That's what's going on. So where are you with the collectives? How do you guys relate to the collectives? Why should the collectives like you or not like you?
I think the most important thing to stress is that we and the collectives have the same goal, right? We're trying to help the athletes out. We're trying to find opportunities for them to earn money. We don't see the collectives as competitors. They do get direct donations from their fan bases as well, but it's a bit of a different structure, and we're trying to provide a bit of a different service than that. But we have had conversations with collectives. We're having a few great conversations with collectives now that we're hoping that will lead to partnerships with collectives. The way collectives could benefit by working with us is to provide the athletes yet another opportunity for NIL earning. And what we would provide, what we could provide a collective in return is some financial compensation as part of a co-marketing agreement or a co-marketing partnership. And at the end of the day, we all just want to help the athletes earn money. And they're looking for opportunities, and we are an opportunity that they could provide to help maybe some of the, spring sports, the non-revenue sports, the backup players who aren't getting the opportunities. Collectives are doing a great job, but every collective cannot provide an opportunity for every athlete on campus. If there's 500-600 athletes on campus, the collective is not going to be able to provide opportunities for all of them. That's where we see our business filling that niche, is being able to hopefully provide an opportunity for every athlete and to give every athlete a chance to go out there, build a brand for themselves, and earn some NIL money. I mean, I think even, the least known athlete on a campus is going to have a network, friends, family, a social media following that they could go to and say, hey, here's my TAP link, help support me. I'm working hard this month, or we got a great season going on, or I'm working hard in school, and they have a chance to earn a little bit of money where maybe they wouldn't have had that chance through their collective.
So I've got a question, because you mentioned the floor, that it has to be a minimum of $10. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there a ceiling? So is there a limit to how much they could actually give them?
No, we don't impose a limit on the site. We'd love to test it. I can promise you that.
So this could be a way of a donor giving a quarterback $1 million deal without having to go through any red tape.
I guess they could try. Here's another important distinction. There is no connection between a fan giving money on TAP and the athlete. It's anonymous. The athlete would not know that this person has given them money, right? We didn't want to build a social media site. We didn't want to build a community platform. We really just wanted to build a payment processor whereby fans could give money, support the teams and players they love, feel good about it. Athletes could earn money. But we've been very careful. And we've had this question or similar questions quite a bit. But for the athlete wouldn't know who gave them the money. And if someone wants to go out there and publicly say, hey, I gave $250,000 to tip a player to give to this quarterback, that seems a little counterproductive. And everything we do, all records are kept. So if a university comes to us and says, hey, we think something's fishy is going on with someone trying to provide money, as a bad actor, we can provide them with all the records. We can hold payments. We can refund transactions. We can do anything we need to do to make sure that we're not negatively impacting an athlete's eligibility, and we're not, doing something that might hurt an athletic program.
That's the
I'll
first
direct
I've heard that. So yeah, go ahead.
I'll direct this to Travis. Several times today it's been mentioned of the commitment that the athlete will have if they take money to have some form of endorsement of your company. What form does that endorsement take? Are they TikTok videos? Is it magazine layouts? I mean, exactly what are the options for the athlete in terms of fulfilling their commitment?
It's a great question. And we built a company designed for busy young people to make it extremely easy on them. And the form, the endorsement that they must provide is they take out their cell phone and send us a video. They can be very brief. It doesn't have to be well lit. It doesn't have to be professional like this show. It's what they can do on their own time. They upload it through our website. So this is a nice transition for me to tell you mechanically what the website looks like if you're an athlete. Their pages already exist. They are already over 100,000 players on tipaplayer.com. Soon it will be over 200,000. A player would go to tipaplayer.com, create their profile, activate their page, docu-sign the contract, and upload a photo. Now they're in. And when they log in, they begin at their player dashboard. Their player dashboard shows them how much money they've been tipped, what they're due to receive from their share of their team pot, and a reminder of how many days you have left to the end of the month to upload the required video that says, I endorse TipaPlayer. Of course, once we receive that, we can disperse them, the money that they have been given in their name through our platform. Players who take time to make more elaborate videos, of course, we could share those on our social media. We could feature them on our platform. But we would imagine the players would probably choose to do that as well on their own social platforms. So this is where we get a little bit different from other companies. We're not going to make players say things they don't want to say. They don't have to do 7 posts a month and screenshot them and send them to us. Of course, the more times they tell people there's now a way to tip them, probably the more tips they will get. They may choose to do that all the time. They may choose to do it never. Forward facing, they don't have to do anything for us. They do need to send us an endorsement message. On our website, we have an endorsement page. That page will feature quotations from players who have said nice things, perhaps about what they use the money for, or what a difference it made in their lives, or any other message they want to say. We don't prescribe what they have to say. We just need to receive that so we can compensate them. We're not building YouTube 2.0. We don't have a place where you can watch thousands and thousands of videos. But of course, if a player sends a great video that shows something really neat, a trick shot, something they want to show the world, they probably have already showed it to the world, but we might choose to show it as well.
What happens to the money if they don't fulfill their commitment?
So great question. Because we're looking out for the players, we don't pay them. We can't send them money unless they do the service. So we make all of our best efforts to remind them this is a really low bar for you to get money. If ultimately they say, I don't want the money, I don't want to sign with you guys, we very clearly in our terms of service, in our FAQ on the website, explain to donors that a donation to a player who does not receive it or does not perform the required duty is converted to the team fund. So if you want to give a star player on a team a donation that they choose not to get, you can rest easy knowing it will go to the team fund. We don't refund the money because you made a donation to us, but it's in our interest to explain to players how easy this is to get money, because we think once they get the first check, they will look forward to their monthly check from us. But of course, some may choose never to do it, and that's okay too. In that case, their donations are put in the team fund.
All right, Eric, I have a question geared more towards you. But Travis, you can jump in at any point. What strategy are you using to promote this service to fans so people out there are going to know about it?
Sure thing. Well, we are a brand new company, so we're just getting started. We're building some plans right now, really traditional type marketing plans to go to market and really explain to fans how they can support, their teams and their favorite athletes. We're going to use every means at our disposal: social media, digital marketing, digital ads, grassroots marketing at live events. And then we want to, beyond that, we want to encourage the athletes to use their own social media channels to promote themselves. But we really want to lean heavily into fan passion, fandom, the passionate fandom that these fans have for their teams and their players. And also, kind of lean hard into the, how the fans want to beat their rivals, right? There's a feature on our site called the Tap Board, which will allow fans to contribute money to teams and will put them up a ranking system. And so we want to encourage fans to, beat their rivals and push their own teams up the ranking system and push their rival teams down. So really, we wanted to do a lot of advertising that leans hard into the passion that college sports fans have for their teams.
So would we envision, let's use a name that's out there right now every day in the sports section, Caitlin Clark.
Mm-hmm.
Would we envision seeing her warm up, shooting a layup, and then $36,000 is a number she received for setting the record in points last week so far, and you guys would put that out, or wouldn't you have to have coordination with television and universities and things like that to do something like that?
Yeah, I think at where we are right now, we also don't want to go astray of any compliance regulations. We want to focus more, I think, on the fans themselves, right? And we don't want to use IP that we're not allowed to use. We don't want to use media that we're not, licensed to use. We want to go out there and really think about why a fan would want to send money to an athlete or a team. It's because they're passionate. So we want to play more into fans' passions for their team support, really go more with a more broad message around that rather than trying to lean too hard into specific players, specific IP or media that we aren't able to license or use at this time.
But the second part of my question is kind of piggybacks on what Mick was just asking about. So you don't have any in-game strategy to promote tipping right now?
So if you think about in-game, there's a lot of opportunities for us to promote ourselves within arenas and within media tied to games, just like any other brand, right? If you're any other big brand, you can buy an ad spot within a game. You can buy a time on a billboard. on a jumbotron in an arena. We could do things like that, and we are thinking about things like that, especially with the March Madness coming up. We have that as part of our media strategy. But as far as promoting a player in the moment as they're performing on the field, that's something that might lead us astray of the NCAA and of compliance. So we don't really want to go in that direction. We are trying to think about the players as creators, as content creators. We want to think about the players as their brands. The players' athletic performance is obviously a large part of their brand, but the players also have a lot of different stories. And the fans don't just love the teams and the schools and the athletes because of their athletic performance. It's way broader than that. There's a much closer and deeper connection than that. So we want to think more about the competitiveness of fans, the passions of fans, and why they would want to give money to their favorite teams and players, and also make them realize this is something that everyone can do now. You've heard about NIL. Now you can take part in this. Now you can support your teams and the athletes on your teams, just like any big donor could do that.
Yeah, and that leads me to a question. Have you thought about, because it seems it would make sense for you to approach companies like Learfield IMG and people like that who are doing in-game advertisement and seeing if they would partner with you?
I would love to do that. I think down the road we have so many opportunities for how we can expand and build this company and get the word out about the NIL opportunities that we can give to players. We're looking to talk to everyone, and we have been talking to just about everyone who's come our way. Anyone in the collegiate athletics space, anyone in the NIL space, anyone around collegiate athletics media, we want to talk to them. We want to discuss partnerships because we feel like the broader we can go and the more people we can get in front of, the better it is for the athletes.
And if I could jump in on that, just one of the areas we feel strongly this will grow is engagement of small businesses in the communities that support these programs. Because right now, I live in Austin, Texas, the University of Texas women's volleyball team, back-to-back champs. There are lots of businesses in this community that I know want to support that team and thank those players. How can they do that? Well, you can sign them to contracts, or you can make a donation in the name of the team. As Eric referenced with the Tap Board, while you can also pick your favorite player, knowing it's a 90-10 split, you could just make a donation in the name of the entire team. And what would you get in return?
Looks like Travis dropped off.
Well, I'm back. Excuse me. So, and just to wrap that up, I was just saying small businesses we think will engage in this because they can tip an entire team at once.
So, Bob, can I ask the second part of my question?
Sure, go right ahead, Mick.
In past years, you guys, the universities would stay arm's length away from you, right? Because they don't want to deal with this. But now, what kind of feedback are you getting from the universities? You know, you have collectives aren't part of the universities. NIL is controlled by compliance, supposedly. But now you have something to offer here. Are the universities endorsing you on this? It would seem that you match up with a lot of the things that they have problems with. Amount of time that they have to give to getting NIL money. You've really given an opportunity to cut that down to something that you can count on. I mean, 20 minutes maybe at the most, maybe 5 minutes at the most. You know, you've done that kind of thing. Are you getting any endorsements from universities?
Go ahead, Travis.
The answer is everyone's looking at each other in this new space going, how far can we go? Can we put our toe in the water? Can we put our whole foot in the water? Can I take a cannonball? Because nobody wants to do the wrong thing. And I have empathy for these folks, just like you guys, who are master coaches, but maybe not master fundraisers for your players. But the players now know in this new era, I want to earn. And it's part of their choice of where to play. In the era of the portal, you're recruiting them to stay, you're recruiting them to come. It's constant. But we truly believe when the forward-looking administrators say, wow, we could help compensate our players with our fan base, we like this idea. You know, there are some suspect actors in the NIL space. We're trying very hard to make sure we are not considered one of them. There's regulation coming at congressional level, maybe. The president of the NCAA changing things, maybe. So I think there's a lot of waiting to see where this all shakes out. So when we talk to schools, we want to answer their questions and let them know we have a very simple, compliant way where everyone's interests align and there's no natural friction to our model.
Hey, Eric, can I ask if you can divulge how many athletes you have under contract at this point in time?
We really are not talking about individual athletes at this time and any of their contracts or finances. I'm sorry.
That's understandable, but painting I don't know if this is a positive picture or something that's not realistic, but if you get 100,000 athletes under contract, and so you have 100,000 videos coming into your office on a monthly basis, multiplied times 12 months, that's well over 1 million videos. I'm just curious, what kind of infrastructure do you have to deal with that kind of volume, and how are you going to monitor all this information that's flooding into your office?
I tell you what, that'll be a great problem to have, and it's something we've definitely thought about. We just have to scale. We have to scale as we go, and I think we have to scale both in technology, right? We will get more advanced on the technology side because everything we're doing is digital. So we can always solve a lot of our problems with technology. And then people, just takes people. You know, we need to scale as a business. If we have 100,000 athletes and we have, you know, proportional number of people who are giving them money every month, we're going to have a very good problem on our hands.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Mick, you had a follow-up question you wanted to ask?
Well, I have one off the wall question. Are you guys selling stock, or is this a closed end business?
No, great question, and thank you for bringing it up. No, we are raising our first round of capital right now. We started this business. Travis started it before I did, but we really started ramping in earnest early last year. We started building the business, started fundraising, and we are continuing to raise our first round of capital, and we're having some great success, some good recent success, and we're going to continue to look for investors as we go.
Okay. That's it, Bob.
All right. Well, Travis and Eric, either one of you, if you happen to know, I know you don't want to talk about individual players, but have you had any volleyball players benefit from TAP to date, especially since you're down in Austin, Texas?
Well, as you guys know, we were at a wonderful invitational tournament that featured some of the best men's teams in the country, which was super fun for me because there's not a D1 men's team at the school down the street that I attended. So in seeing those players there, we don't have them under contract yet. I'm not going to run to them while they're playing, but we hope with the coaches and the audience of a show like this, if sort of like when you look in the back of a book in the index and say, I wonder if I'm in here. I wonder how many pictures of me in the yearbook. I would encourage the players and coaches who hear this show to go look and see that your page exists. And once you see it exists, you should activate your page so we can start raising money for you.
We think there's great opportunity with volleyball. We don't have any volleyball players signed. We have every men's and women's D1 volleyball team, every player on our website right now. And we would love to sign up as many as we can. I think there's a lot of opportunity because men's volleyball is growing. We've got beach volleyball coming up, which we think is going to be, big in the NIL space. And of course, women's volleyball, especially at schools like Texas and Nebraska, is so huge. There's so many passionate fans, but that's all across the country. So we definitely want to grow within collegiate volleyball. And we luckily have a great advisor who can help us make introductions. And we want to go to more events and talk to more coaches and more players and grow this piece of our business. Bill Carter said, I think that the average volleyball player, women's volleyball player, is only getting $100 to $500 per NIL activity. So, adding TIPA player to their NIL activities would give them a great way to make, a few thousand more dollars as on top of that. That would make a big difference to a lot of these athletes.
Well, thank you guys. Really appreciate you coming on. This is definitely a new twist on NIL. All right, and we're excited to feature TAP on our show. I'm sure there'll be a lot more questions coming up. We might have to go out and ask you guys to come back as things start developing for you.
Well, great. We thank you guys so much. We'll come back anytime you guys want to talk to us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, that was pretty insightful.
That's one word for it.
Yeah. But I'm sure we'll discuss that in our buzz reaction. But before we move forward, let's take a moment to thank our friends and sponsor, S&A Sports Group, for their support of our program. S&A Sports Group provides top-of-the-line volleyball equipment. And if you're interested in any kind of equipment, please check them out at snasportsgroup.com.
When you're talking about volleyball equipment, Collegiate 4000 is our benchmark, and it's our most popular system. At 22 and 27 pounds for the post weight, it's very easy to carry around. And I've seen middle schools as well as high school teams be able to set it up in under 5 minutes consistently. It uses our international net, which is a really unique net design. It doesn't slide back and forth on the top and bottom ropes. You actually hook the 4 points up, tighten everything up, and you're ready to play. Regardless of your sleeve size, whether they're 4-inch, 3.5, or 3-inch, we can modify our posts to fit that. They'll drop right in with a lifetime warranty on the post and a lifetime warranty on the winch. We're covering all of the real major components of the net system. We have infinite net height adjustability on the slide rail, from men's height all the way down to tennis if needed. And it's also infinitely upgradable. You don't really have to buy posts again. You can always just upgrade the rails and keep on going with whatever new technology we come out with. So if you're looking for a lightweight and versatile net system that's a snap to set up, I wouldn't look any further than the Collegiate. If you're interested, please give me a call. I'd love to talk with you.
Well, now let's go ahead and transition into buzz reaction. And for our listeners and viewers, the buzz reaction is a chance for the master coaches to discuss and react to the answers we've just heard from Travis and Eric. And actually, it was hard for me not to kind of jump in there, Tom, at one point, because I know on Monday we were talking about, the idea of in-game, fan participation, with this program. And then I got to thinking about that, and I said, gosh, that sounds familiar to me. And I think I figured out what was in the back of my head. It was the Hunger Games. Didn't they do that in the Hunger Games? I mean, they flashed up somebody's picture, and then they tipped that person, and he got a glass of water, or she got a glass of water, or a new weapon, or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's something else. And I think we've got to do our part, and we're doing it with this show, but to get this out to people so that they see it. Because this needs to be, this is going to face the test of compliance, and it's going to face the test of the culture in NIL right now. And it's very unique. And I think it needs to get out there so people can see it.
Hey, Tom, I got a question for you, because I know that you're in the NIL world, and you're an active participant in the collectives. Do you see this? I mean, will this type of company, if it gains traction, will it impact your efforts on a local basis with the people that you interact with in the Fort Collins area?
Well, it could, but that's still okay, because our ultimate goal is for players to be supported at a level of what they're worth, right? So, for example, there's an outdoor equipment company in Fort Collins that I connected with 3 of our volleyball players at CSU, and that company is not going through the collective, but it's still an opportunity for those young ladies to get some benefit out of their brand. So I think I don't see this as being a threat to collectives as long as it remains legal under the NCAA rules.
Well, it seems like, besides them being very new and getting started here, it seems like a really innovative twist for sure. But I just wonder, they mentioned themselves that there's a little bit of fatigue out there, donor fatigue. You got these collectives, you got universities trying to raise money for their programs. Some of them athletic departments trying to keep up with the Joneses. This is just another thing that adds to that, that fatigue. How do you guys see this?
Well, here's what I like about it. Limited time involvement by the athlete, 1. 2, it takes away some of the jealousy, natural jealousy of people, one person getting more than another person. So if you get something, I get something, is more of a team concept, which I like a lot better than one person getting a huge contract and everybody else hoping they'll give them a Christmas present or something, So those are 2 good things I like about it. But I was trying to think about what I would do as an athlete. And Stoney, the other thing is I liked your math. I think keep doing that math and it gets much bigger than even what you presented. But I was trying to think what I'd do as an athlete to maybe cash in on this. Would I start doing something on TV that would get me attention, that would warrant some pretty good donations because people enjoyed it? Would there have to be some rules about conduct? How about if I show a tattoo on my arm after I killed a ball? And maybe that tattoo was a business or something, and people would, instead of likes, they would do bucks, I was just trying to think of all these things. These kids will think of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They're smarter than we are about getting to the heart of this. And so that's one thing I think about it. On the other hand, if I was in this business, I would be concerned at how I'm going to get it out there. Stoney showed what will happen if they do get it out there by all those videos. I mean, you're right. They just have to go in the trash. But then again, they have to keep them to show that the kid did something for their money. So there's got to be storage for that, right? And the second thing is, I would think if I was marketing this, I would want to get it on TV. I would want the announcers of every televised game talking about this, or the broadcasters of every radio thing talking about this, and they're hoping that the kids promote this. But you want to get it to are what Eric said, businesses and those people out there, because they have the ability. They buy skyboxes. They buy, they pay $50,000 a year or $150,000 a year for a box for 7 football games, and then they entertain besides. So those are kind of my responses, Bob.
Hey, Mick, to your point, and you guys are probably aware of it, but Deion Sanders down at CU football, their practice jerseys has the players' Twitter addresses on the back of their practice jerseys. So people can see them practicing and they can start tweeting back and forth, or it's X now, I guess. But yeah, this could go in a direction that I don't think anybody anticipates, and not in a good way.
And you know how crazy we were when we were in school. So what would we have done?
Well, it is interesting because we're all, we were in college athletics for a long period of time and seen, I was at Oklahoma back in the Brian Bosworth era. I'd seen a lot of cheating going on, and then you think it gets cleared up, and then now it's,
now it's legal.
Yeah, now it's legal. It's like, that $100 you used to get for, in the locker room now left in your locker is just going to come to you legally. But, I know this because I went to an Oklahoma football game this year, and at Colorado State, there is some space in the in-game Jumbotron stuff that they'll give to the collectives now, saying, hey, please support the Green and Gold Guard, or please support this. At Oklahoma, it's the Crimson Foundation, or One Oklahoma. And so I don't see why they couldn't do this. You know what I mean? Seems like it would be legal. Yeah.
Well, in terms of Jim's thought about how much video, I think what Eric had said, it's all scalable as they start going. They'll have to hire people to store, to process it, and of course you can buy storage, and they'll be making the money to be able to buy the storage. So I don't think that's a problem. So I really felt like these guys were trying to do it the right way, though. They were in contact with a lot of compliance officers, and they've already gotten the okay from the NCAA. So it's just about managing it as it goes, I think.
Yeah, but the problem that I see, we've all been down this road, is every compliance office is their own fiefdom. One may say yes, one may say no, and then the kids are going, well, wait a minute, you're saying I can't do this. I'm going to go over to that school where I can do this.
That's exactly right. Or they'll sue them,
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I mean, this was the first time that I had heard that if you tip a player, your identity is not recognized, right? So you're anonymous. And I think that's probably pretty good, because that would, if their name was on there, they might be wanting some sort of recognition back or whatever, but that makes it actually a lot cleaner.
So let's go back to how they make money. Were we clear on how they make money?
Yeah, I think I was. I mean, they're basically a processing, company.
But
they're getting processing.
Walk me through it. If they go on and leave a $10 tip, how much do you have? How much is the tipper having to pay?
$11.50.
It's
it's $10 plus 15%.
$1.50 for them. Yeah.
Okay. So they could get up to 2.5% real quick, like the credit cards, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Or 3.5%, like Visa.
Well, I mean, the kids are signing a contract. The contract probably outlines the percentage that they're getting. Now, that doesn't mean that 5 years down the road it couldn't be 18%. But I mean, I think everybody's used to doing processing fees. It's not even part of the expense. It's just it's a common thing in business world everywhere.
You try to avoid them.
Oh, I try to avoid them with a passion, but
And I asked that question about what's the limit and could somebody do $1 million, but I don't know how many credit card companies would allow you to charge $1 million charge.
Well, the thing we didn't ask, Tom, that was if someone were to give more than $15,000 in a gift.
Yeah. What are the IRS implications?
What are the IRS implications there? I mean, they can give up to $15,000. I don't think they're worried about that yet because they haven't crossed that bridge.
Right.
At some point, I guess it's going to be that, hey, you're going to have to pay the tax.
But do they have to issue tax reports to all the people that sign contracts?
That would have been a good question to ask them.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have to until it reached at least $600.
Right.
I'm not an accountant.
But if we're going down this road of tipping a player anonymously, why don't we just bypass the processing fee and give a kid $100 cash? I mean, if that's legal, if compliance is down with this whole concept, it's like NC2A rules is becoming an oxymoron.
We're creating new jobs, Jim. Well,
now you're going to have somebody in charge of the collective and have somebody else that's in charge of, the tap money and.
Yeah. I don't know. They may be onto something. They may be onto something, and I know people are investing in this. That's why I asked the question. And they're serious. They think this is something that's going to eventually go big time. Maybe we should look at it as a new concept of credit card,
Mm-hmm.
Well, the interesting thing is they're actually following the intent of NIL, in my opinion, more so than some of the collectives. Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, because this has nothing to do with recruiting other than you're going to go to the school that has the best fan base that contributes the most. But it's not that they're giving money to attract players. I mean, it's
right until they attach it to the transfer portal, and then like if you transfer to Ohio State, people start tipping you.
Yeah. How about that? How many times can you transfer?
Oh,
no, that's a good one. I like that.
Jim is just shaking his head.
That's why I said Ohio State.
Stoney did those numbers, and he's just been going like this ever since he added that stuff up.
But I was in Kansas City this weekend, and you talk to coaches, and they hate this. I mean, with a passion, not this company, but the concept of NIL and transfers. I mean, they hate it with a passion, and yet everybody's doubling down on it. It's just We're going. It's like you either get with the program or good luck.
Well, that may be a sign of the times that somebody's going to stand up pretty soon. I mean, there's so many issues right now today, right? And nobody seems willing to stand up and say, no, that's not good. I mean, we are devoid of leadership, seriously, in so many areas. And so maybe it's going to take some more of these things before some people start standing up and just saying, not going to do it. And maybe that's what Saban's saying, that maybe that's what Krzyzewski's saying. Maybe those guys get out because it's just not worth it, But goodness gracious, I used to have fun coaching. and I don't see many coaches having a lot of fun. They're getting paid more money, but they're not having a lot more fun.
Well, they're doing so much more that has nothing to do with coaching. I mean, they're out raising money and collectives and trying to recruit their own players so they don't transfer, much less recruit other players. I mean, it's just so much of it has nothing to do with why most people got into it.
Well, Mick, go ahead and finish up, and then I think we're just about out of time.
Yeah, I was just going to say, are we going to vote on this? Are we? We think this is a good thing. We think this is a bad thing, or we think we're just going to watch it and see where it goes.
It's just
Let's
a thing.
put our names out there, and they can tip us, and whoever comes up with the
we should see if our names are in the. Go back to their website and see if our names are up there. Get our profiles signed. See if anybody's going to tip us for the show. How's that?
It'll be the Master Coaches team.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you get all the tips, Stoney, we get 15% or share 10% or something. That would be all right.
Funny.
Well, that wraps up today's episode of the Master Coaches Wednesday Weekly Buzz and our Buzz reaction. But I'd like to thank our guests, Travis Richmond and Eric Duncan, for joining us. And you know, they did an outstanding job in discussing and explaining, you know, this TAP program, you know, tipping a player. It's going to be very interesting, and I'm glad they're willing to come back again, because I'm sure we're going to be getting some questions from our viewers and listeners. And a special thanks to our viewers and listeners for tuning in. And until next time, let's keep coaching. Let's keep buzzing.